What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is 2022. Before we jump ahead to the new year, I want to take a quick minute and look back at last year. This is going to be a look back video. We're going to have a current video right now, but we're going to talk about the most successful baits that I used in 2021 to help catch big fish and a lot of fish, and hopefully help you catch more fish in 2022. I'll hit you with the intro. Then we're going to also announce who won the giveaway from the last video and jump into this one. All right, let's roll. Oh, it's not a three. Monster of a fish. Good fish right there. All right, so the last video we did was a December unboxing of the MonsterBass Regional Pro box. That's right, we went back to the box this month because the bags were in short supply because of all the other inventory issues this whole country's experiencing right now, the logistics. So, MonsterBass December box, the winner, random drawing, was Mr. Tim Abbott. All right, I know you've been a supporter for the channel for a while now, as many of you have. I love that a familiar name won. So Tim, I'll reach out to you, drop me your address or DM me, and I'll get this box out to you. And stay tuned because we're going to continue to do more giveaways like this on the channel throughout this year. We're going to do even more than we did in 2021. So stay tuned for that. I love giving back to you guys because you guys support the channel. You guys rock. All right, so this video, I want to break down probably the 6 or 7 baits. I'm not really exactly sure how many I have. I think there's 6 baits. These 6 baits that I feel pretty darn confident you can go tie on and have a slugfest in 2022 catching fish. All right, so there's gonna be a couple different varieties. I'm gonna tell you how I'm rigging them. We'll go pretty fast because some of them I've shown you in recent videos. However, I'm telling you, these baits and lures are legit. So in no particular order, I'm just gonna pick up the rods over here in the stack, whatever bait's on the end is what I'm gonna show you, but I have them sorted, and literally you see that many of them are missing off the deck of my boat because these are the ones that I have almost tied on like all the time. All right, so first and foremost, from a crankbait perspective, this little bait has really shined this year. This is the Castaic Square Bill 1.5. All right, now Castaic lures, you may be familiar with the Jerky J. It's probably their most popular product. I'm going to show you a very similar one here in a minute, but this little Castaic 1.5 Square Bill, there's a couple of things that I want to point out about this. So first of all, the bill is truly, let me move my hands here. The bill is truly squared off, all right? It's going to give a good movement, good vibration. And I will tell you, as I'm retrieving this lure in the water, my rod tip is actually shaking and vibrating from the movement that this little square bill gives off. So although it's a 1.5, all right, it's relatively small, it's mighty. Trust me, this thing is mighty, all right? The other thing I really like are those katana hooks, all right? This one's actually wrapped around the line. Give me one second. But those katana hooks are incredibly sharp. Now, a lot of times when you buy a crankbait, you then have to go and switch out your treble hooks because they're not very good. But if you notice these, I'll try to keep them really still. The tips are curved in just ever so slightly, and they are, I'm telling you, razor sharp. These katana hooks are fantastic. In fact, I would recommend even buying just the katana treble hooks and swapping them out on your old treble hooks on your crankbaits because they're that good. I truly, truly have been amazed by the treble hooks. And the other thing I like about this lure is listen to the sound. All right, it's got a very loud, distinct rattle, and I've caught some really good fish because of that. And the cool thing about this is you can burn this crankbait, sure, but you can also just do a very slow retrieve. You're gonna get a lot of movement out of the bill and a lot of sound out of that rattle, and it's gonna draw some fish up, and you're gonna get a lot of strikes. Now, this particular color is my #1 go-to is a green gizzard shad. Green gizzard shad, it is a phenomenal color. Yes, it is a natural color. It's relatively translucent or clear, but I will tell you this thing, between the movement, the rattle, and this color is super natural. You're gonna catch a lot of fish with it, so I would highly recommend go checking it out. Castaic Square Bill 1.5. All right, next up from a topwater perspective and frog fishing is that Blitz Lures Popper Frog. I absolutely love this popper frog. I'm going to be adding a new frog to the arsenal and trying it out. It's not gonna be a popping frog, it's gonna be a normal frog. I do think there's a place for both, all right? This popping frog doesn't really do very well in and around pads and like the super thick stuff, but around like regular vegetation, I'll tell you, this thing really excels. The way it's curved up here, the softness of the plastic and the way it sticks out, and the way that belly is curved on the bottom, gives a lot of great movement. So check out Blitz Lures, the Popper Frog. I didn't tell you, I'll go back to the crankbait. I throw this on an extra heavy TFO rod. It is a 7.4 extra heavy. This rod though, allows me a very accurate cast because it's got a little bit softer tip than most frogging rods, but the backbone is phenomenal. Not many hook sets that I miss. Love this particular rod with a crankbait. You guys have heard me talk about this, but I'm throwing it on the 7.4 medium heavy TFO glass rod, right? So a fiberglass rod helps absorb the hook set, and you know, if a fish comes up and violently strikes it, and allows those treble hooks to stay pinned if the fish is jumping back to the boat, which they normally do because they want the treble hook out of their mouth, that glass rod does a great job. All right. Number 3, and this is a little bit of a 2-for-1 here, but the adrenaline crawl. You guys have seen this in previous videos, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time. You can go back and watch those videos. But the one thing that I will say though, from a retrieval perspective, that I really liked about the adrenaline crawl is I had a heavier weight, and I just let it sink to the bottom and just do a slow roll, keeping contact on the bottom with that crawl. That has really seemed to work well. But even if you pause it, all right, the adrenaline crawl is going to stand up. Now, I've done a whole video about that just recently. You can go back and watch more. I'm not going to take a ton of time on that, but I do throw this on the TFO 7.3 heavy. It acts probably a little bit more like a medium heavy for most rods, all right? But TFO, the blanks are a little softer by design, so I usually go a power heavier, so a heavy rod with this one. And then I said it's a 2-for-1 because I'll throw the adrenaline crawl, but then I'll also throw the Blitzworm as well, all right? So in the summer months especially, but heck, even in December recently, just caught a monster on this. But the Blitzworm, my favorite color here is that watermelon black. It's actually a black watermelon red. So it's kind of a black on top, watermelon on bottom with some red flake mixed in. Both my big fish came this year on that big worm. It's phenomenal, all right? You could go buy any of these, I'm telling you, and I'd absolutely crush them. Got 2 more, stay with me. All right, the next one, this one's been new this year, along with that Castaic 1.5 square bill. I've never thrown that before until this year. Another new one that I've never thrown before until this year, and I've really been digging it, it's just super versatile, is the Jerky J Swim. All right, the reason why it's called the Swim is because the paddle tail, the normal Jerky J does not have the paddle tail, but this bad boy on an underspin, it's a 5-inch swim bait, all right? The paddle tail gives you great swimming action, but this color too is called green shad. But with that underspin, or even without it, sometimes I'll just throw a normal EWG hook without it. Does a phenomenal job catching fish. All right, largemouth bass love it, especially in the South. This green gizzard shad color does extremely well. I throw that on the exact same rod I throw on my Texas rig. It's a 7.3 heavy, fast action, the exact same as my Texas rig. It's a multi-purpose, but I throw this on 20-pound fluorocarbon. I throw the Texas rig on 20-pound fluorocarbon as well. I love that paddle tail. And also, they make a smaller size, all right? This is the 3.5 size, the same color, green shad, but just a smaller size. So I'll sometimes downsize and throw that on an underspin. So whether it be the 5-inch or the 3.5, both of these do extremely well by Castaic. Castaic's got a lot of great stuff. Go check them out. And the last one, I'm not gonna say this is my favorite one, but I will say from a productivity perspective, if you say what lure do you catch a lot of quantity and a lot of size, both, it would definitely be the swim jig, all right? And particularly with that XZone swammer trailer. Now, I know I've mentioned the adrenaline crawl by XZone, the blitzworm by XZone, but the swammer is so daggum versatile. I can throw it on just about anything, but the swim jig is my favorite. I'm actually noticing this one's got some abrasion right there on the line, so I need to remind myself to retie that. But the swammer does a phenomenal job on the back. One color that I want to tell you to check out is black, all right? The black swammer. This year, one particular day, it was getting relatively dark. So think about low light situations or a cloudy day. So early in the morning, later in the evening on a cloudy day, throw black. It's going to give you a big silhouette in the water, a big presence in the water, and the swim jig does really well around any type of timber, any type of vegetation, especially vegetation and timber. The swim jig does really well, especially in the spring and the summer, early fall. It really excels. Now, two things I want to point out. With this particular swim jig, all right, the entire jig head and skirt is by Flirt Skirt Fishing. Now, I will tell you in general, I am extremely picky about my swim jigs, okay? Flirt Skirt Fishing is a small company. They're in California, run by one particular gentleman, but he does a phenomenal job making swim jig heads, skirts. What I really like is look how far back that hook sits, right? It's a good stout weed guard, and it's a really thick hook too, right? So I'm throwing this in some thick stuff. I want a good weed guard, and I'm gonna be jacking them. I'm gonna actually take this as well to Okeechobee with me. And I feel pretty darn confident that this swim jig is going to tear him up there. But the colors that he has are fantastic, and even has replacement skirts. So this one that I showed you a minute ago, I bought this skirt, all right? This jig head is actually an old Strike King. You can tell, let me show you the size difference between this Strike King versus the one he makes here. Look at the size difference between these two hooks. I mean, not even close. And the weed guard, not even close. Like this one by Strike King is pretty puny. So I don't throw this much around a lot of vegetation, but what happened was this Strike King skirt that was originally on here wore out, the rubber band broke, and the skirt fell off, so I just had a bare jig head. I bought the replacement skirt from Flirt Skirt Fishing, put it on there, added that black slammer, and this one particular day just tore them up. But actually caught two back-to-back 4 to 4.5 pounders. Again, it was right as the sun was going down. I had never tried the black slammer, and until that particular day, and was crushing it. So try the black slammer. It's fantastic. All right, so that is it. We had the Castaic 1.5 square bill and green gizzard shad. That color is fantastic. We had the Blitz Lures Popper Frog. All right, that white color has been phenomenal. It's been crushing it. From a Texas rig perspective, either the Adrenaline Crawl or the Blitzworm, both of those have been doing extremely well. Back over to Castaic, we had the Jerky J Swim and a green shad color. The 5-inch version or the 3.5 has been doing really well, and a swim jig with that swammer trailer. And I'm telling you guys, even if you like throwing a bladed jig or a chatterbait, swim bait, buzz bait, the XZone swammer, that 4-inch, it's fantastic. You need to be throwing it. It's great. It's great for a trailer. It's great by itself. It's awesome. So those are my picks. Not only my picks, like that's just what caught the majority of my fish in 2021. I will absolutely be having these tied on my deck, on the deck of my boat and my rods for 2022. We've got a lot of fun places to fish, including one coming this Monday. It's a private lake that I'm going to, but it holds absolute giants. I'm going to be trying something different though, some techniques I'm not good at and not really familiar with because it is winter. We're going to have a cold front come through. Largemouth bass do not like the cold. So I'm about to figure out how to catch them. But I'm looking forward to trying. And probably in between there, I want to drop another video of the January MonsterBass unboxing because it was a lunker hunt takeover. Lunker hunt baits in the entire box. They're pretty fantastic. I actually got them over there. So I'm going to show you in a unboxing video probably right after this one. So stay tuned. Ton of stuff coming to the channel. We're going to have a lot of fun in 2022, including an upcoming trip to Lake Okeechobee where I'm taking my wife. We're going to have a great time there. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you're not. And if nobody's told you today, God loves you and so do I. Peace out.